AskReddit by Texas raised 420. What is the best example of they don't make em like they used to? Deleted. Before 1990, maybe. They've been fashion boots for a long time. They were better quality fashion boots until about a decade ago, and now they're just trash. Not repairable, terrible quality leather, plastic finish. HP printers. The old grey bricks that you saw 20 years ago in every office that connect via the old parallel printer port were amazing workhorses. Anything from the last 15 years is the epitome of cheap garbage. HP used to be a brand that you just bought without doing extensive research, because you knew the product would do what it said on the box and would last forever. Then they got a new CEO who made that problem go away. Shoes. Cobblers weren't as much of a profession as they are now. All shoes were repairable. Now you need to buy expensive, heritage shoes for them to be worth repairing. Otherwise you're happy if they serve 2 years. I've owned at least one pair of Doc Martens since I was 15. I'm 42 now, and I've noticed a steady decline in quality with each pair. They still look dope, though. Movie theaters. They used to say the show starts at the sidewalk and dazzle patrons with unique architecture meant to transport them to another world, with neon and statues and murals and more, sensational displays and activities to promote different movies, constant diligent attention to the picture and sound, and complete presentations packed with a feature film plus shorts, organ music, a prize giveaway, and sometimes even a live stage show. It's tough to understand the extent of this style of showmanship because even the nice historic theater that survives in many towns and cities was often a low or mid-tier example in its prime, and very few places have the resources to offer all the trimmings even if they want to. Instead, now it seems many theaters are just dirty showboxes with a high schooler trying to do their best to ensure a fair presentation on 10 screens. There are 20 minutes of previews, and you're hustled out before the credits are over, but at least there are recliners. Minimalism as a design trend made everywhere so fucking boring and corporations love that about it. Household appliances. There's still some hella good brands out there like Bosch dishwashers, but yeah, many companies make overcomplicated appliances, bells and whistles, that will probably break down after 7-10 years. That being said though, when I sold appliances we almost never got complaints from folks who bought simple appliances like a basic fridge. By far and a mile though we got the most complaints from Samsung appliance owners. Corningware. The new ones chip and scratch so easy. You can find people with ones from the 60s that they still use. What happened was all of that old Corningware was made of a material called pyroceram, but in the early 2000s they switched to some kind of regular cheap stoneware. They have actually reintroduced pyroceram dishes since then, but it's really expensive. Clothes, and it infuriates me. I made my own prom dress in 2011 and saved hundreds. If I were to do that now, I'd be spending hundreds on fabric alone. Somehow as clothes get cheaper, fabric gets more expensive. I feel like jeans aren't made as well as they once were. When I was younger a pair of jeans were sturdy and would last 2 years at the minimum. Now I'm lucky if I get a year without them getting ratty, plus the material is thin and flimsy as fuck. I blew the crotch out them things. But you can't wear 'em all the time. You gotta take 'em off, son. The kind of chocolate you give out at Halloween. When I was younger Snickers and ysis and all of that type of stuff was delicious. Now it just tastes like manufactured plastic. The candy is smaller. The proportions are all out of balance. Bionicles. Ever since Motoro sacrificed himself, it just hasn't been the same. Sewing machines. All the interior parts used to be metal. My mom's 50-year-old machine, Kenmore, is still going. My 20-year OKD machine is a fucking tank. Husqvarna, new ones wear out so stupid quick. Even the new Husqvarna aren't nearly as good as mine and they're still stupid expensive. I spent $800, but I got an $800 machine, yeah feel me? My mom's sewing machine, Betty, is from the 80s and still works like a charm. Only problem I've ever had with her is that she has a little trouble threading the bottom needle sometimes. I've gotten very good at repairing our mid-80s Kenmore dryer via YouTube videos and Amazon replacement parts. Neighbors up the way have been through 2 heat dryers in the past 10 years. A lot of times the replacement parts for newer machines cost almost as much as the machine itself or straight up aren't available. Frustrating. Dehumidifiers. I'm on my 3rd since buying a house in early 2018. Everything is made to break. This one irritates me because they are not cheap. Guillotines. Have you tried to find a sturdy, well-built guillotine recently? Since the EU cracked down on exports, now you pretty much have to go to France and select one personally. Refrigerators. Old ones would last literally 40 years. New ones require a compressor every 3-5 years. I'll trade that one. The energy efficiency is great compared to even a decade ago. The real trick is to not get ones with features. Ice in the door is complicated, especially if it's the fridge section. All those areas of complexity are areas of failure. Owning things outright and not having everything be a subscription. Affinity instead of Adobe, at least for Photoshop and Illustrator. Pyrex vs Pyrex. I had a Pyrex casserole dish sitting on my countertop and it was one of the newer crappy ones. Nothing was in it. A few hours go by and we hear what we think is a gun going off and we see glass flying everywhere. Some was bounced off the window over the sink. We thought it was someone shooting because at the time we lived on a corner off a main street. Took a few minutes before we realized that the Pyrex dish had just exploded into hundreds of pieces all over the kitchen. No sudden change in temperature or anything. Lawnmowers. They are almost completely plastic now. Same for sewing machines. New ones are plastic and circuit boards. They have to be serviced by a professional, they break down over time, and even the high quality ones struggle with some basic tasks like hemming canvas pants. On the other hand, my great-grandmother's sewing machine was made in 1891, has had no maintenance since except for oil and a new belt every so often, and still sews as well as the day it rolled out of the factory. Appliances. This planned obsolescence BS has gone too far. $2,000 for a fridge that has no requirement for replacement parts after 7 years? It is like everything else nowadays. I'm just renting my fridge etc like Windows, Adobe, Music etc. But I can still fix a 40 years old bicycle with relative ease. It's criminal. And the law should reflect that. Our 10-year-old oven stopped working and there was no way to get the part needed to replace it. It's criminal how shoddy appliances have become. How about every packaged food product because of shrinkflation? Oh yeah, I am disappointed by every chip bag. It used to be okay, it's 75% full for air, I get it now. I open a party bag and it's like 25% full, WTF. Subway. What happened? Jared. Video games, at least in some respect. It feels so common nowadays for games to be released in an unfinished, unacceptably buggy state because companies want to rush it out. They know people will buy it, and they can just finish it later. Plus there's still the issue of DLC that feels like 15ish years ago would have been a part of the base game. Now you gotta cough up extra money for it. Edit. Forgot about the pre-order bonuses and different editions that can come with different pre-order bonuses. Either with a super Omega Deluxe version that's twice the cost of the game and comes with everything, or the lack thereof so you can't possibly get all the content being offered. Weeps in Kota 2. I think you're just remembering the successes. Still breaks my heart to think about what might have been if they'd had time to finish Xenogears, or the ability to patch it or something. My mom had a mixer from the 1920s that recently finally failed. Never did any maintenance. It probably just needed brushes. The real question is, what isn't? Le Creuset directly at their stores, or a Williams-Sonoma? Could use one from decades ago, but new in box are good to go. And handmade in USA dinnerware from a small company like Jono Pandolfi? Noctua PC fans and coolers. Furniture. You get what you pay for. The cheap option that exists today didn't exist 50 years ago, like IKEA particle board stuff. But that's what people today demand because it looks nice and is cheap. You can find quality handmade, solid wood furniture, but you're going to pay about 10x what it takes to get a similar looking IKEA piece. That's what it cost back then as well.